Alrighty, it's just like riding a bike. Key to any door. Sorry, there is a key to every door, right? And the key, say I had a door, say what I'm talking about was a door, which I've constantly shown you over and over and over again. Then there'd obviously be a key. This is a key to a car. So obviously the key doesn't look like this one. It looks like a different key. The key to my entire arrangement is that all of you are so obsessed with money, dollar bills, y'all. And I'm not dealing in money. That's it. It's like if you went to the shop to buy eggs and you came back with bacon. That's how simple the thing it is. I'm dealing with time, you're all dealing with money. My observations in time, really quick time as well, not long, not like 100 years, like 5 years, is showing this trick. It's like there are wheels in a river, like a turbine. It produces power. And so some stupid people have decided that it's just easier to speed the whole thing up. Not a pleasant experience. Really, this is why we have speed limits on all our streets. The same thing. So like if you were speeding on the road, you'll get pulled over. If you are speeding the whole world, like driving or your particular region incredibly fast, you're also speeding. So there are police. There's like red and blue lights off, like for everyone, including politicians and stuff. Isn't that cool? Wee-oh. So yeah, when the whole world gets a bit zippy, it's got to slow down. Especially if it only has taken it's like 3 years. And it's just dumb. There's a whole lot of things that we all need, that we're all responsible for. And if we just use money in this, like as soon as it breaks away, then of course all the things we need get neglected and all the things we want get attention. Just from that. It's not a capitalism versus socialism argument. It's a bullshit humanity argument. This is why there are certain places in the world that are dangerous to go. Every city has these places. This is constant. If we all put focus on that shitty area, all the time, and the shitty area I'm talking about is like comparison and competition and posturing and big noting purely via monetary gain, then obviously we are missing all the positive other things. You know what I mean? No one is going to a nightclub to read deep historical, do you get what I mean? And really methodical analysis of plants and animals. You don't do that at a nightclub. Or, if you do, no judgment, because I'd love to hang out with you. You sound like you're really, really focused and able to, that's cool. But generally, we can't. So if money is, what is money? If money replaces something else, isn't it? What else do we have? This is where we have virtue. Hey, virtue is the thing. kindness, like all the stuff. Yeah. So we need, and that doesn't really come from money. So, sorry to, yeah. There's other ways. So it's all, it's like literally, I'm like gambling with time in a way, I suppose, but I'm not really gambling because because of my time that I've decided to exist in, which is, there's a million historical precedents of it. It's written about all over the place. It's not hard to find. It's not hard to justify the type of existence I'm heading for. But if that other thing gets out of control, you know what I mean, and is constantly on the verge of chaos and being revved, like, wow, it's like a burnout. It's like a burnout in your driveway, right? I personally, with hoons and things, I have a weird, I'm like, they annoy me, and then I'm like, I remember being one, and there's this friction, but it gets to a point, and this is where everyone wants intervention, always. It's just, this is a really big one. This is like, whoa, fuck, I didn't even know you guys were there. Yeah, that's all. It's just like, and so it's like everyone, I think, gets it at one point. It's like, oi, slow the fuck down, all of you cunts, now, right now. If I catch you doing this again, honestly, that's everyone. Which is cool. Like, it's weird. It's like, it's almost like, hey, you guys are running around on the ship and the whole fucking thing is going to fall over. And we're all going to die out here in the middle of the fucking ocean with icebergs around, right? There's not just one few doors, like in Titanic. There's just like, there are no doors. Yeah, you'll be like, they'll be piling on people like, it's not good. That's why we make fucking billion, millions, bazillion dollar productions to try and to show you that, just so it really hits home. And yeah, the political class, all the fucking things, like, you're all just connected, but you don't know where it fucking keeps going. You never know where it's going to end up. If you just fucking fly, that's what Jack and the Beanstalk's about, I think. Again, I don't even know if you know Jack and the Beanstalk, because it seems like we haven't been doing a very good job at continuity. Continuity is the continuation of a storyline. If you break continuity in any production, you know what I mean, you lose, things are chaotic, goes into place. Now, we can do it for effect, which I guess we just did. But yeah, continuity is vital. And you've got to stretch that out a bit further than just like your week. Yeah, you've got to, like, hey, my dad's dad, well, like, continuity of culture is, it is our major responsibility. It's humongous. So we better start doing some spending there. It's like, you better, I don't know, rake your front yard. No, that's silly, because no one fucking rakes their front yard anymore. So where's the point? Where is the point where we can address this? What is something everybody does? Most of you seem to be doing all your things. You seem to be majoritively paying taxes and registering your cars and all these things. So that's a huge thing already, isn't it? Yeah, so overstimulation of those individuals when they're already being very, very, very well behaved into some type of chaotic situation is basically tantamount to like child abuse en masse. But it's right, because it's all of you. Yeah. Doodle-doodle-doo, and you're just scared of us because we rode around on skateboards and shit and swore and we talked differently because we had to talk differently. We have to address the entire thing, not just our little fucking group. There you go. That's a pretty simple explanation of that as well. Aren't we learning today? In fact, brought to you by Artline. a scientific explanation on cannabis from one particular perspective. There's all types of ways that people have tried to explain the effects of THC or of the whole mix, whatever's in there. So CBD, it doesn't matter. That's molecular. Like, probably what's going on isn't so much a chemical reaction. It's probably best described as a individual social arrangement, like a dialogue with yourself, which is going on with everyone. And it's like I would describe it as a discussion at that level, like an ordering, like if you were to clean your bedroom. It can open up that level of discussion. The reason it can do this is because it opens up a larger amount of inputs. This is more noticeably experienced in a crazy effect with the more simplistic socialization you have been exposed to. So it opens up a lot of things. If you've born in chaos, you can kind of handle those things. Although it can be a really big jump if someone who's been that's had like a really confined, and that's not even in a negative sense. I don't mean literally confined. I mean, because confinement, depending on the external situation, can be described as a haven. So don't forget that little fact there. I'm sure a hermit crab, although it may curse its shell that it has to drag around, I'm sure it also is a blessing when it's needed. So confinement, negative, positive, can be both. Most things can be. It's an unfortunate thing about the world if you look at it that way, or it's a really positive thing about the world. So an interaction with cannabis or THC or WC, whatever chemical, whatever you want to call it, can just open up more of those things, which will be overwhelming to anyone that hasn't experienced that. It's like, look at all these new details that I've been missing for a long time. Okay, so unfortunately there is an effect of this, a side effect you could call it, only if you were really benefiting from people's conformity, mind you. But it has, because you've opened up these perception, you are able to kind of more accurately define any type of, you could call it lots of different things. You could call it system, you could call it model, you could call it a funnel. On the internet, people described it as a funnel, a sales funnel. Now you can have sales funnels and you can also have organizational funnels. Because I was a business operator, aiming quite high, I did a lot of work in this field into system development and all the other things, and operational flow, time to pay ratio, all this stuff is pretty well known. So if you were, say, shown to be like torturing your staff, you'd be in fucking so much trouble. Even if you didn't, you have to, there is an emphasis on self-policing those areas. Except for one level that got away with it for ages, but has now been so, who knows even when it started. It's just no one fucking said to finish it. That's a scary thought for the people that are responsible for basically doing that. that observing problems in society and interacting with them to make them more positive, if those people were shown to be doing usually the opposite of that, in some type of endless Chinese whispers, you'll have to excuse that. It's not a nice thing, I suppose. I don't know, maybe Chinese people do whisper a lot. Who knows? Maybe they get shit wrong at the end of it. It'd be funny if they did. But yeah, if you seem to be like en masse, then you will be exposed. And our system can take that. It's very well designed. Like all the things from, now it's getting longer and longer away. If we just look, it was only 100 years ago. There's lots of beautiful things, wonderfully beautiful things, including our structures. Thank God, isn't it? I mean, you know that feeling you get when you view something really majestic? That's always the feeling I get when I get a little glimpse at what that potentially looks like in reality, but has gone a little bit too ethereal with its projections, a little bit too high minds in the sky, a little bit too head in the clouds, literally. Especially for a continuous. See, I'm not always good with my words. Anyway. Culture. Yeah, you need to have healthy guide ropes. Like if you're a mast on a ship. My mum loves using ships in metaphors. Like a mast on a ship, you need to have ropes on the mast, and they are vital for keeping the other end of that balance operational. It's not just a wacky underwater adventure that boat's having. It's having a bit of both, isn't it? It's having a bit of above the water and a bit of below the water. So there's lots of engineering things, like a keel's just one of them. There's also a mast that has to go up and they've got ropes. Otherwise you're just bobbing around, unless you've got a motor. But motors don't have keels, they don't need them. So the metaphor blows up there, just sinks down in the bubbles. But no one's really used it in a long time anyway, so no real loss. Now you can think of the whole ship as that. Wow, look at this mast. What's the mast? It's a pole, isn't it? Yep, and it's being held by wires that are under tension. And these could be like your evil potential or your positive potential. Yeah, and if without them evenly balanced, that will fall over. Just like the original metaphor that was a little bit flawed because it didn't take into account that a sailboat is travelling in the water and in the air at the same time. It is like amphibians are that, like it's the opposite. It's like dragonflies and all those ducks. You know what I mean? Ducks not so much, because ducks use their legs only in the water. Man-o-wars, they're like little blue bottles. Blue bottles do this. They sail. They blow up there and then they sail across the ocean. We can do that now. But they won't tell you that because that would be fucking utter chaos. Just have butterflies flying around with humans in them. Yeah. And also they've got a lot of oil to sell. So because of that, like they like to, it's like that movie Waterworld. Very accurate kind of description, I think, of like the potential of Earth in this strange metaphor of global warming. It's even funnier if you consider that there wasn't global warming. That would be the greatest sequel on Earth, because they bagged that movie out. It was an amazing movie. So the sequel of the best movie ever made. Maybe Prince William can be in it. I don't know. Maybe he can. Sorry, that was below the belt. Funny trick that's been played in this state for far too long now is we need percentage bases on all taxable items to step up in a radius from the city, because we do not live in central London, we live in Western Australia, Perth. If you don't do this, there's all types of really bad flow-on effects in overall design and establishment of civilized localities, would be the way that I would probably say that. You need a percentage base, and it's a little bit counterintuitive because on the government spreadsheet they will see expenditure. This is why they love building train lines, because a train line is this ice cream that just explains all things. It's like, well, we built a train and it costs this much and this is why we need to tax evenly. That's bullshit. That's complete bullshit. Because there's no real reason to ever be in a city if you design properly. Need. You may want lots of stuff you want in there, but there's nothing that you need in there. That's why they build a train line, to get you there so they make money, which works in a place like England, but it doesn't work in a place as big as Western Australia. Because what will happen is we'll just end up with crazy chaos and one central line. We need to have more forward thinking than that. And the people of the outer regions are doing an incredibly good job, wouldn't you agree? Whereas a lot of the trouble is coming from that little spot. So you can see how we need a taxable radius. And there's no like if people who have business flight, all these things, just pay it. It's a tax to most individuals that feel the need to be in there. Because otherwise we're getting this projecting out from which, like, even if I travel now on the base ideals of the individuals I would encounter compared to my own are too large now. And on a ever escalating deterioration to shit. So we either need to draw some more lines on this map, or we need to arrange a different situation so that we don't stratify into some type of Dubai situation. Like, yeah, we need to do some deep thought. How can we maintain? Okay, so this is where we go. If I'm not supposed to call my colleagues boomers, does that mean I'm a colleague now, does it? Interesting. Or is it narcissistic to take something personally that might not be? Strange game you're all playing down there. It'd be a lot easier if things were just done directly. And this is what happens. There is a failure to launch in this environment that is clearly there, just very much like imagine no one rode the trains. I wonder if that could be arranged. I wouldn't ride one of those things, even though I would like to. But what if no one rode the trains? I wonder what would happen. What if no one went to work? I wonder what would happen. These are big problems. Big, 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 big problems. There's a responsibility for healthy constraints on all avenues of negative behavior. So I know you're connected to the Over East in this unfortunate power arrangement, but I don't know, something tells me that I don't know, it's a long fucking way away. It's a really long fucking way away. It doesn't make sense in any other thing. I'm not going to try and break it because it could be incredibly beneficial. But when it's being misused in this way and sidelining local development clearly and provably over and over and over again, then what are we to do? I don't know, I guess it was a great attempt. Cunts. I wish that initiative of that attempt was maybe put into progress. A lot of effort must have gone into that. A lot of effort went into defending it, I can fucking tell you. I think this is what I was going to talk about. It's the difference between an employee mindset and a business person's mindset. And this is what my dad would always tell me. And it's so true. You've the most innovative, conscientious individuals in our society have been hampered constantly. Favouring for... It's like... Imagine it's the grand final and the umpires do a terrible job. This is what you've done in the eyes of every fucking Australian person. And they will begin to tell you en masse. And that's going to be uncomfortable. So I can see the step back, but we need progress points, cultural progress points that aren't ridiculous Colosseum-esque marvels, because if you really think that this generation, my generation downward, and especially the ones about to pop their heads above the parapet and have you firmly in their sights, I would start looking at incorporating, what are they called? What would I go? Disruptive. My business training used that word a lot. That was the environment I grew up in, was disruptive businesses. Uber, Airbnb, all of them. Netflix. Good, bad things have come from the whole thing. But I think you'll notice within my tactics that I've used, yes, disruptive, but responsibly disruptive. New paradigm emerges. Responsibly disruptive companies. If the governments won't self-organise to do this globally, then we'll do it locally. Responsibly disruptive companies. Legitimate entities that disrupt troublesome conglomerates that are getting a little bit out of hand on their local distribution of all kinds of things, chemicals, ideologies, drugs. Disruptive constructiveness. Wow. Thank God we live in a place where that's been going on the whole time with little fires. little spot fires that burn inward and extinguish themselves. Technology that's subtle. I know I'm going to make I'm going to make a brand, I think. I'm going to make a t-shirt brand. I've always been going to do this. Interesting that I'm going to do it now. My other glass shop ones, they're literally just my uniform. They're rags now. They're just rags. I have to wear them around the house and do all kinds of things. It's terrible. Anyway. What was I going to say? Yes, t-shirt brand is going to be called, and I hope it doesn't exist, Drogue. It's a funny word, Drogue. I'll have to check the spelling. And it will obviously have a parachute as its like logo. Because a drogue is a underwater parachute that is released from the back of a sailboat when there's too much wind to slow it down. Isn't that cool? Isn't that the coolest thought? I remember when I first thought about it. I was like, wow, think about what's going on there. There's this ocean and then there's this thing in the water and the drogue's way smaller. Isn't that amazing? That led me down all types of pathways to do with that. Thinking of just water resistance over surface area compared to air. But anyway, that's just what I spend my time doing. Aren't I a strange person? But yeah, that's also what I happen to have just self-identified myself that I'm attempting to do. I'm a drogue, and I've self-deployed myself because I self-identified that we were going way too fast as a entire. There's a few words I could place there. I'll let you just come up with whatever words you want to put in there, and that will be the right word. But yeah, I'm going to call it Drogue. So the Drogue shirts, there will obviously be a black shirt because that's what I wear. Black shirt with the word Drogue on it in a very amazingly interesting way, obviously. I might even get someone else to do that because I know quite a few digital artists and things like that might be interested in designing that little doozy. Drogue with a parachute. And then I'd say if there was enough Drogue with parachute shirts walking around, that everyone would get the point. They'd be like, yeah, fuck, he is right. We have got to fucking slow down a bit. And it's going a bit fucking quick. This isn't what my granddad told me about. He told me about something different. I sat with him then and he told me that it all used to be different. That's just sitting there, ready to have a Drogue shirt on it. So I guess you guys are all fucked. That's my guess. Never mind. Well played. It's like the Legends footy team. They're all a little bit fucking wild bunch, aren't they? Whew, Jesus Christ. A lot of built up aggression and insecurity, a lot of insecurity amongst all of them. Poor buggers. They weren't very loved, trust me, I know. I was loved after they're dead, and I got to do that in an amazingly quick time. I didn't have to go through all the years of bullshit. It was condensed into just a very small amount of bullshit. Perfect way to do it, by the way. So if you're an old guy, don't give up hope yet. There might be some children hiding out there in the world. And your politeness, your astuteness, your courtesy, your kindness, all these assets that you've spent a lifetime gathering are well in demand out there in the female world, especially compared to the droth. Is droth the right word? I think it is. The droth. That is, yeah. So isn't that an amazing opportunity that you might not have known you had if you put your phone down for a minute? Go and learn how to talk to people using your voice, which is another exciting opportunity that you now have. It's like when the telephone was invented. all over again. Oh, aren't we lucky? Aren't we lucky to get a new invention like a telephone? Yeah. But Drogue. And it's even got the word rogue in it. Rogue was my favourite X-Men character by far. I was in love with Rogue. The idea of Rogue, which is dangerous. That basically, like, that tells you everything you ever need to know about me. My obsession of X-Men character, female one, I think it was probably Wolverine. I think everyone's is Wolverine. But Rogue, doesn't that explain some shit? Yeah, I'm attracted to rogue women with multicolored hair that will inevitably, like, if they get too close to me, they'll take all my power. Fucking crazy concept for a fucking children's cartoon. Yeah. Very psychoanalytic. Archetypal characters there. So much depth to explore in the frivolous things that we were displayed. Healthily, like, I think that's how we're meant to do that. It's in stories and concepts and archetypes. A lot of thought. When you get down to the level of, like, not allowed, no, you're not allowed that, this is like, you've clearly, I don't know, you've paddled too far out, and that Jaws music is just starting. Like, that's, imagine you fucking out there. You're like, hey, everybody shut up. And then everyone just turns around, and then you hear doo-noom, 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 doo-noom. Makes a big, like, I think that'd be strings, violin, I'm guessing. High pitch, high string. Jagged as well. Yes, I hear a soundtrack when I talk sometimes. That's because I am a musician and it's part of my life. I've developed my ear for music so I can project. Like, you have a mind's eye when you can see things, like, I can do that with music. Cool. It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing. Not particularly, I don't know. It's just a thing. It's something I didn't think I'd be able to do, and I can do now because I've worked at it a lot. That's all. Those things are cool. They're the best things I have. Anything like that. I get upset when I lose them, like skateboarding. Skateboarding's I can still do little bits, like I can do the bare minimum to not completely hate myself, but there's things I can't do and it upsets me. Because I've let it go. And so we need to be careful with how many things we take on, because letting them go is painful, and that's why we used to put a lot of emphasis onto things like instruments and swords. Swords we don't really need as much right now. That's why I've identified my phone as a sword and my voice as the sharpening, maybe. But yeah, we don't have a lot of time and we have a ton of time, and both of these things exist at the same time. Why was I saying this? Because I was talking about, who knows, it's gone now. That's just because I'm grabbing thoughts and explaining, and I'm trying to do that presenting wise, because I'm trying to explain something. Like I was drawing, it's like this is a drawing, but there aren't drawings. So like another level, it's like a different level. You're responsible for projecting those drawings if you're having that type of conversation. That's why, like, a good thing, it's like, I can't talk about this right now isn't ever a negative statement, I don't think. It's just a statement. It's like, it's too hot in here, or can we open a window? Like, Similar things, just courtesy. People aren't always able to have those types of conversations. Is this? No shit, the fucking paradigm we live in is that, and we're trying to capture it. We live in a cycle created by old people. Older people now. Yeah, this is fucking crazy. Based on a concept that was sold using the idea of old people as a negative stimulus, which is that's self-destructive, like in all methods. We're too far along it now, but we're having a culture that's rejecting that middle ground. But that middle ground was sold to by the ground before. But they disappeared before they could fix it. But not all of them. So they made a mess. And they're trying to clean it up. A consistent pattern. Mm-hmm.